guy Robert Pape. Let's see what he's talking about here. Shout out to Robert Pape. I think he had a pretty viral interview on what was it, Diary of a CEO, where he explained the escalation stages that's going on in this war. So let's see where we're at with it.
We're happy to be joined once again by friend of the show, Professor Robert Pape of the University of Chicago, and of course the Escalation Trap Substack. Make sure to subscribe to that if you haven't yet. Professor Pape, thank you so much for joining us once again.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really enjoy these discussions. You guys are just the best. So thank you so much for having me.
Well, we appreciate you for being here.
Yeah, keep the compliments flowing, and we'll stay happy.
It'll be part of the escalation promise.
Yes.
In fact, I've been noticing, and I don't tell me if you noticed this at all. It feels like Iranian officials have actually been following.
Now, this is why people listen to Robert Pape. Okay. And I know a lot of you wonder, like, who the hell is this guy, Robert Pape, that I'm hearing about? And this is him. So pretty much he's an American political scientist who studied national and international security affairs with a focus on air power, political violence, social media propaganda, and terrorism. All the right places. But this is where he gets his credibility from. I mean, not only is he pretty educated in, political affairs and all this good stuff and foreign policy and all that, he's also been a presidential advisor. No, here it is. During the 2008 presidential campaign, Pape served as an advisor to the Democrat Party senator and later President Barack Obama. During the same campaign cycle, he was also, let's see briefly, an advisor on Iraq to a Republican Congressman, Ron Paul. So he's been pretty much an advisor on foreign policy to not only Barack Obama, but also to Republican Ron Paul. So I really want y'all to take that in when you hear this man out. He's been an advisor. I know a lot of people will say, oh, he's just a professor. No. He was also a presidential advisor as well. So yeah, it's a Democratic Party senator and later President Barack Obama. And during the same campaign cycle, he was also briefly an advisor to advisor on Iraq to Republican Congressman Ron Paul. So remember that. He got credentials. You got to respect that. And make sure to double tap that screen and like the video.
Following some of your analysis.
Having me.
Well, make sure to subscribe to that if you haven't yet. Professor Pape, thank you so much for joining us once again.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really enjoy these discussions. You guys are just the best. So thank you so much for having me.
Well, we appreciate you for being here.
Yeah, keep the compliments flowing, and we'll stay happy.
It'll be part of the escalation promise.
Yes.
In fact, I've been noticing, and I don't tell me if you noticed this at all. It feels like Iranian officials have actually been following some of your analysis, particularly the argument that they're becoming a major power. Like I've seen them sort of repeating that back in similar words.
That may be right. And so just so listeners know, so Russian television wants me on and has for a long time. Iranian media, various kinds, wants me on. I just won't do that here. So I'm laying out what
the Iranians are already taking notes. They're like, hold on. So you said if we hold the Strait of Hormuz, so hold on, Mr. Pape, and I'm let's say I'm an Iranian official. So Mr. Pape, you're telling him if we hold the Strait of Hormuz for long enough, we could become the fourth global power? I mean, you got any more tips for us? Like, let's be honest. That's pretty much what he's saying. He pretty much laid it out how they could do it, and it does seem Iran is leaning more into that plan.
Expect for the world here, and I'm not trying to, certainly not help the bad guys here or something like that. You're not seeing somebody who's in any way other than an American supporter here.
But you said you weren't trying to help
the bad guys. Everybody knows, my ideal world is where America remains number one. We're the strongest, richest country in the world. We want everybody to come here because we're the best place on the planet to be. And I think we need to get back to being the best place on the planet to be here. But we're not going to get there if we don't understand the world that's coming at us.
Well, let's just start by getting your reaction to the whirlwind of events yesterday, where the deadline was looming, where J.D. Vance, Jared Kushner, Steve Witkoff were supposed to go to Islamabad, and everybody was waiting, trying to figure out if the plane had taken off. They ended up, of course, not going, and Trump extended the deadline. We woke up this morning to news that there were ships fired on in the Strait of Hormuz. So, Professor Pape, wild 24 hours. What do you make of it?
Yes, but fully in line. If you're following the Substack posts here, this is just in line with the expectations I've been laying out on both sides. So, and what you are seeing, number one, is, and as I've been saying, from my early post about how Trump has the illusion of control, Trump's just lost control. So the bottom line is America's not winning. Trump is not in control. And what you are seeing is a rising trajectory for Iran. It's just growing, sort of bit by bit. It's not exactly linear. There's some pauses, but it is growing just as I've been saying. And Iran has cards to play. They are more in control as each day passes. And since the first hour of the bombing, America has been less in control and has less cards to play. And that's actually playing itself out. Now, in detail, let me just shift over to the details here, because I did post these these longer articles about what's happening with why is the ceasefire breaking down. Well, the ceasefire is breaking down not because this is not a case of misunderstanding where you need to have negotiators get to the table, talk to each other face to face to clarify things. No, that's not what's occurring here. What's occurring is a zero-sum problem.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real though. I kind of get where he's going with this. Is like, nah, the problem is that both sides have maximalist demands and neither side are willing to concede on that. I mean, as you've seen, like Donald Trump had the maximalist demand of saying, yo, we're not removing this naval blockade until we get that uranium. And Trump and obviously Iran is saying, well, we said we're not going to give it to you unless you give us about $20 billion in our frozen assets. And Trump's like, damn well I'm not doing that. Who do I look like, Obama? Like, let's be honest here. It's cooked.
We have two zero-sum problems, and that's what's breaking us in the negotiations to break down. You see, we have two issues, the nuclear enrichment and Iran's control of the Strait of Hormuz. And these are classic zero-sum issues. Iran cannot both control and not control the Strait of Hormuz. There's no middle ground here. Iran cannot both have enriched uranium to make a bomb and not have enriched uranium to make a bomb. So there's no real way to cut this pie evenly, 50-50, 60-40. That's just not what's occurring. One side has to give up, essentially. And what you're seeing is both sides, rather than give up, prefer to escalate. Now, Donald Trump is also trying to find a third way. So I've been arguing this for some time and explaining this. I just explained more in detail that we're at a fork in the road. Either we pull back here from escalation and Iran becomes the fourth center of world power, or we go forward with escalation. Well, Donald Trump is trying so hard to get a third way, which is, can't you just give me the fig leaf of a cover, Iran, so that I can...
Bro, I'm weak. He's like, damn, bro, can you at least make me look like you capitulated a little bit? Look, I'm trying to sell the American people a story here of us just dominating you guys, and you're not helping by closing the strait, by walking away from our ceasefire deals, by not giving up your enrichment and giving up your sovereignty. You're not helping us out, Iran. And of course, they're not going to help us out with that. I mean, let's be real here. They're hearing us, like they're hearing Trump on True Social and social media, and they're going like, all right, great. What can we do to make this guy look dumb? I mean, it seems like they're doing a pretty good job of that, or to make him look less credible.
Declare victory, and then I'll maybe even give you the Strait of Hormuz or something here under the table. We'll just kind of let me just have my victory, okay? They're not doing that, folks. They're not doing that, and there's, I think, a very simple reason they're not doing that, which is they want to torpedo Donald Trump's presidency. I think.
Oh, shoot, guys, we're $44 away from opening up the call-in line. Appreciate the support, guys. And if you can't support, make sure you go ahead and double tap that screen, like the video, guys, because it's free and you help push the channel. And subscribe to the channel while you're at it. Why? Because that's also free. Hey, man, you might as well give out free blessings.
This has got the classic earmarks here where they want Donald Trump to become the lamest of lame ducks. Now, he's hurt right now. He's a wounded animal as it comes to his presidency. That's why he's squirming, trying to get out of this thing. But he's not unrecoverably wounded. So I think what you're seeing on the part of Iran is they're going to want to string this out. Now, I don't know exactly how far they can string it out, but I can tell you they're going to want to string it out at least to November. Now, that's horrible for the economy. Think about that. I'm about to do a new Substack, because I did this one on the economy. I'm about to do a new one projecting out even further here, because what's happening is this everybody wants this to be over. Well, that's because they are not Iran. Okay, all right. That's the and what Iran is now wants is they want to become that emerging power. Okay, so how do you do that? You keep the Strait of Hormuz and you make sure everybody knows you're in control, which is what they just did this morning with demonstration. Yep. Number two, in about a year, you want nuclear weapons. They're going to want nuclear weapons here. Yep. And number three is you want to go.
And I did say, like, our current active aggressions against Iran has pushed them towards a nuke, like, every time. Like I said, when we hopped out of the JCPOA, when we had monitoring of their nuclear capabilities and their enrichment. But when we pulled out of that in 2018, I mean, let's be real, that was an act of aggression. We put back the sanctions back on them from 2018 to 2020. I mean, IRGC on the terrorist list. We killed Qasem. We bombed Qasem Soleimani. I mean, all these acts of aggressions led up to, in 2021, Iran having 60% enrichment. The more we aggressed on Iran, the more we pushed them towards a bomb. Just like with North Korea, the more they seen us, put our active aggression upon the Middle East and overthrowing guy after guy, they said, yeah, the only way America is going to leave us alone if we got a nuke. And I'm sorry, but we kind of vindicated North Korea's stance on that. Now the whole world sees that, America's going to bully you if you don't have a nuke. Now I can start seeing a whole bunch of Latin American countries rushing towards a nuke. Why? Because that protects them from us, which is, well, that's the honest truth.
Down in history as,
and I'm not saying that I want Iran to get a nuke, but I'm saying that due to our acts of aggression is pushing Iran to a nuke. And that's what y'all just got to understand. Like, it's not because they always wanted one and they want to bomb us. No, we've consistently showed them we won't leave them alone unless we just completely destroy their nuclear capability and we just have it under lock, or they have a nuke. Only way is either we just make sure they don't got it or they do got it. Only two ways they're going to get left alone.
The country that torpedoed Trump's presidency when the Democrats couldn't. Just think about that on their legacy. You see, this would now establish them in this powerful way. And if that happens, if they torpedo Donald Trump's presidency, oh my goodness, the kowtowing that's going to come to them from UAE, because the governments in the UAE and Saudi Arabia, they're going to start to be fearful. Well, if you can torpedo Trump's presidency, what are you going to do to me? So this is what the game we're in is, power politics of the first order. This is not real estate negotiation.
Oh no, if Iran becomes a regional power, bro, all the monarchies are cooked. A lot of these guys who are Sunni monarchies rule over a Shia majority, and they're the minority. And I'm sorry, but if Iran becomes a regional power and they really start pumping money and weapons into these Shia majorities, then, bro, these monarchies are cooked across the Middle East.
This is not, this idea of just getting to yes. I knew Roger Fisher's son here, so I'm familiar with all of this. This is now power politics of the first order. And we are not playing up to Iran's just beating us at power politics, and they're doing it almost every single day.
So Joe Kent, the former top Trump official who resigned in protest, has put out a version of another third way that he sort of presented, which is similar to what you were talking about, but not exactly. He was saying what Trump should do is just walk away. But leave sanctions in place. And you then leave Iran in this situation where they are then left to negotiate bilateral or multilateral deals around passage through the Strait of Hormuz. But it's very difficult for them to then fire on Israel or anybody else at that point if they're not fired on themselves, because then they become the aggressor rather than defending themselves. But if sanctions continue to choke them, yes, they'll be getting revenue. Yes, they'll have control of the Strait of Hormuz, but without the ability to kind of engage with the kind of international economy, they'd be slowly choking out.
Well,
and you have a hopeless
Joe Kent's
population.
plan,
So
Joe Kent's plan is a version actually of you walk away and Iran becomes the fourth center of world's power, maybe a little more slowly because he's trying to slow it down a little bit. It's not really a third way. That's not a third approach because there's no actual way to stop Iran from exerting more power in Kent's plan. And what I'm specifically referring to in the whole in Kent's plan is the UAE and Saudi Arabia.
Mm-hmm.
So if we follow Kent's plan here, and okay, we keep the blockade even going here, the U.S. blockade going, what that's going to do is it's still going to open the door for Iran, not necessarily in a week, but in several months, to topple the governments of the UAE and Saudi Arabia over time. You could
told you, because that's what Iran has always wanted to do, to be quite honest with you. It's like these guys rule over Shia majority. I mean, the Sunni monarchies rule over a Shia majority, and Iran could easily stoke the flames for a rebellion. And nowadays, there's a whole bunch of Iranian vassal states all over the Middle East, like Saudi Arabia. Those guys get overthrown. Now that's Iran, UAE, Qatar, all these guys, same situation. Oman, all of them in the same situation to where Iran could then gain control through the people. I mean, and think about it. I mean, it could even happen in Iraq. I think Iraq would be the first one to go because these guys were wilding out when the Ayatollah got killed.
Never really put a time clock on how you topple governments and so forth, but they have a lot more powerful ways because they're in the region. There are different groups inside of the UAE and Saudi Arabia that they don't like to talk about, who are minorities, who they try to keep a close eye on, of course. But Iran, if you can penetrate Iran, they can penetrate you. So this whole game here is will change. And so the idea that Kent has is, well, we'll have a stable equilibrium that will keep a containment band around Iran, and that's just not what's going to happen. This is not Iraq. This is not a situation like Iraq. It's worse than Iraq. There, I mean, some similarities, of course, but it's worse than Iraq. And so what he's doing is he's saying there's a fork in the road, as Pape is saying. I want to take this fork over here, back away, slow down this rise of Iran becoming the fourth center of world power. And notice in Kent's plan, they still get nuclear weapons. They can still process all that material and become a nuclear weapon state in Kent's plan. So this will, and that's really the hole in the plan. And I'm not saying, I'm telling you what the choices are in front of us. Okay. Mm-hmm. And in this situation, one final point with Kent's plan is just recognize the economy still goes over the cliff or the dips here. So he's not actually stopping he's not opening the Strait of Hormuz for the UAE and Saudi Arabia to have it. Its oil exports come out.
My bad, guys. My bad. What I was pretty much saying was, you guys got to understand about this man, Professor Pape, is that one, he was a presidential advisor to Barack Obama, which is, of course, a Democrat, and then Republican Congressman Ron Paul. So as much as y'all want to sit there and, get mad about what he's saying because he's telling you the truth about what's going on in Iran or what's going on with this war, I'm sorry, but this is the facts, guys. This war is not working out in our favor. We have not completed any of our goals. And I'm sorry, but like Trump is looking more and more idiotic for getting into this war by the day. And this honestly, like I said, it walks back the America First agenda. So we're not even getting lower prices or gas prices or anything. I mean, the immigration efforts has been stopped. They're working on an amnesty plan. So, like, really, guys, what are we getting out of this besides a war that we're being told to be grateful for and accept higher prices? Like, please tell me. I'm pretty sure you cannot articulate it.
Here. So just be aware, this is the fork in the road. He's choosing clearly side A, and then there's B, escalation. He doesn't want to do that. Right. And I can appreciate that. I'm not really happy about escalation either. So I'm not really fundamentally saying that the choice he wants is necessarily wrong. I just think we need to go into this with open eyes, and I'm not going to sell the country a bill of goods and say, oh, sure, this will all be fine over here. And this is what people are frustrated with me, because they want me to be the happy guy who says, well, if only we would not do X and only do this over here, everything's working out. And I'm sorry, Donald Trump has doomed us to a trap.
I mean, look, if you want to get lied to about this war, go watch Fox News all day. But I mean, when the end results come out, you're gonna be shocked. You're gonna be shell shocked, sadly.
And what you're seeing is Joe Kent choosing one side of that trap, but he's not getting out of the trap.
Yeah, because the move would be a U-turn.
Again? No way. Again, hold on here. Wait, can y'all hear me? Okay, good. Okay, sorry. The messages weren't catching up in time.
And go backwards.
Pardon me?
The move would be to pull a U-turn at the fork in the road and go backwards. And not
the move would be go to Star Trek and we go back in time.
Exactly.
We don't do this at all.
Right.
I mean, come on,
That's
we're Doctor Who.
way.
I mean, we're just not in a situation where we can have these magical ideas and go back to February 27th. Iran has learned something, I think even more than their material gains. They learned something in the last 8 weeks they did not know before, which is they can beat America, not just survive. They can actually beat America. And they're not just beating Donald Trump. Nobody in America is coming up with this brilliant plan where you're going to use escalation dominance and we're all going to...
Fantastic. Please. Because most likely you're going to be coming back going like, S.E.T, I ain't going to lie, you vindicated. Please come back. Please come back when we got the uranium. Please come back when we got regime change. I mean... Shoot, please come back when any of that happens. I mean, also come back too when we got their missile capability and drone capability on lock. Please, because right now, none of that's been done. Oh, please. Oh, come back when we got control of the Strait of Hormuz. Oh, yeah, when we kind of release Iran's iron boot on it. Please, come back then. But until then, I'm pretty much being vindicated as we speak. I mean, even Robert Pape, I'm sorry, bro, but this war is not working out. It's not the fantasy that Trump and Hegseth is selling to you. Sorry. And I'm MAGA. I actually voted for Trump. I'm America First and all that good stuff. I believe in those policies. Doesn't mean I'm just going to follow Trump on whatever he does, especially if I disagree with it and I don't believe it's America First. And like I said, you cannot articulate how this is helping Americans, especially with inflation up, with gas prices up. So please explain that. You can't be
happy with to win. And I'm saying this is not good. This is not good. When a major rival in the world really understands they can beat you here, this is different. And this is what Donald Trump has done more than anything else. He's given Iran actual knowledge they did not have before. They had uncertainty before, and they thought, well, could they survive? Mm-hmm. This is way beyond survival. And this is why what's happened here is Trump will go down as the worst president probably ever that we've had, worse than Jimmy Carter, worse than Lyndon Johnson. And this catastrophic disaster will probably go down, certainly the worst since Vietnam. And it won't have necessarily the military casualties of Vietnam, but Vietnam did not wreck the world's economy. Yeah. And the 2003 Iraq War did not wreck the world's economy. We didn't have gas prices shooting up like this in that. That's why this is Donald Trump this is all on his back, and Iran is not letting him off the hook with some face-saving gesture, and that's going to frustrate people. But now, come January, so as bad as I'm painting it, I'm saying it's going to possibly get much worse here, because I think they want to torpedo Trump's presidency more than the Democrats want to do it. I mean, imagine that. They want to do it worse than the Democrats.
Right, yeah.
So what you're getting here is maybe by January, here, when Trump's presidency is thoroughly wrecked, unrecoverable, the Republicans want to get him out of Dodge.
I mean, let's be real, bro. Because if this war doesn't end the way Trump wanted to, which I can't see it, like if we leave this war and Iran's in control of the Strait of Hormuz and this just turns out to be a complete disaster, yes, Republicans will be betraying Trump left and right. The only way to be able to salvage your seat as a Republican is to pretty much go against Trump. The Israel firsters will abandon Trump first once now that they done used them out, and they'll toss them to the side. And then the midterms will be dominated by Democrats, most likely. Hopefully not. I'm praying that's not the case, but it's looking more and more likely day by day, as MAGA still supports this war and blindly supports Trump, even though they really can't show anything for it that, shows us it's helping us. And they see that. I'm gonna be real with you, like, guys, do you not see what's going on? You not see how you're you're like allowing the Dems to get back in power for war with Iran? That's not helping us whatsoever, that we will be seeing damages of like throughout the year. Yeah, y'all don't see this? Or y'all too caught up in the shocking awe campaign of the blowing up of missile launchers and all that good stuff in boats? Like, ooh, look at the missiles. Hopefully that's not where you're at with this.
Not just simply the Democrats here. Then you might actually have a situation where they want to, because they will be around for decades, okay? And U.S. will be around for decades. But I really think this missing ingredient that I'm not hearing in the media, that Iran, I think, has a true interest in wrecking Trump's presidency. And send me emails, folks. Listen, if I'm missing this on all these other channels, you just let me know. I'm on those channels. I'm watching them on TV. I'm listening to them on podcasts. I'm just not hearing people explain that Iran wants to wreck Trump's presidency, and that's going to take some time. I mean, if you're really going to do this for real, you see, and make it so he can't come back after January 6th.
I mean, let's be real though. Yeah, the way, if Iran really wanted to ruin Trump's presidency, like trust me, Trump already cooked himself by getting into this, so he's already cooked himself. But Iran could make it worse by making sure it gets dragged out for months.
Democrats let him back in office. I mean, think about that. They weren't. You want to wreck a president, you got to do worse than what happened here, and I think they're trying to do that.
Now, I wanted to get you to respond to the very influential popular historian Niall Ferguson, who's, of course, at the Hoover Institute. Now, he posted a viral tweet yesterday, and it's super interesting. Now, back when the war began, Professor Pape, you were already warning of the escalation trap. Niall Ferguson's first column on this was tepid, but I would say bullish.
Dang, he said, let me walk you through the events of the war so far. The United States and Israel tried regime change. It didn't work. Yeah, we did. We did try. We tried to give those guys, the protesters, guns and all that, and it ended up, getting these guys killed in the street and now hung in the middle of the street. All right, or rather, they got regime change. Iran became an Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps led military dictatorship. That was not an improvement. Yeah, it's not an improvement. I mean, let's be real though. The moderates that we were talking to, yeah, they're all gone, and now we got a bunch of IRGC members as the new leadership. So, AKA a more extreme regime. The U.S. won an overwhelming military victory with air and naval power and scarcely a boot on the ground. But it destroyed less of Iran's missile and drone launching capabilities than first appeared. Yeah, they were talking 90%, but U.S. intelligence came out and said 33%. Now, 3. Then there was a hostage crisis. Iran took both the Gufields and the Strait of Hormuz hostage, and the result was a massive economic shock from the world that required a rapid resolution. The choices was between one, military escalation, boots on the ground, or strikes on Iranian infrastructure, and two, a diplomatic deal. Trump chose two. All right. I mean, hey, as long as we're going in the right direction, this may look, sorry guys, effing up right now, but this does make Trump look weak, guys. This does make Trump look weak. As much as this is what I want, as much as I want to get this war over with in a diplomatic deal so people stop getting bombed and dying and all this good stuff, I'm going to call a spade a spade. This does make Trump look weak.
On the U.S. Now, as of yesterday, he's saying his point 7 in this was the Iranians have survived regime change and discovered that closing the strait is just as powerful a lever in economic warfare as they had always hoped. It's not despite the Russian quip, a quote, economic nuke, because unlike a nuclear weapon, you can use it. Then he says, where we go from here is fairly predictable. I would be surprised if Trump now deploys ground forces. There will be more negotiations. So Islamabad, here we come. There may have to be more bombing. If the Iranians dust down the North Vietnamese playbook of stringing the U.S. negotiators along, Niall's actually the Kissinger's biographer. He continues to say the final compromise will take longer to be agreed upon than Mr. Market currently believes. What's your response to this, Professor Pape? Because in a way, he's come around to.
Hey, shout out to my man Josh for sending the clapping seal for $250. I just seen that, my man. And like I say, you can support with either a super chat or a gift. Appreciate the support, or you can send a Venmo. All right, guys, let's get back to it.
Your perspective.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so one thing that your listeners would not be surprised about but won't know is I do more than talking to the media. I talk to very important people outside of the media. These are people in government. These are people not in government. And we have more lengthy back and forths here. And you're willing to give me.
Here's the thing, though. Remember, he was a presidential advisor for Barack Obama and Ron Paul. So, of course, he knows people in government on both sides of the aisle.
Quite lengthy back and forth. I really appreciate that. Most of the media won't do that, but we have, your audience gets more informed, and so you can actually have that intelligent conversation, and you see right away that he's directly on the Pape path, right? That is, I mean, there's no gap, there's no daylight anymore. Well, I'm just pointing out, and I won't talk about these private conversations, who they are and so forth, but it is the case that there are very, very smart people. I highly respect people, even people that may seem to disagree with me. There are people I highly respect in that way, and I will have lengthy conversations with them offline, so we can talk about things that they really want to hear about, which might appear to the ordinary person to be, sort of off track or in the weeds. But when you get the experts together, this is what the talk is like. I'm sorry to say that we get into the weeds, and so we get into certain things, and it really does matter here. And I value that tremendously here, and I think that for me is quite an honor that and that Ferguson and whether it's an honor to me or he just come out with his own view, I don't really. That's neither here nor there. What it really means is the world is coming around, and these frameworks that I've been laying out, super smart people. Everybody is. I think I get so much email here about the benefits of the frameworks, the actual frameworks. You see what I mean? Not just simply commenting on yesterday's news. And I think that's what you see here. And I'm really glad I started the Substack. I could not be happier.
Oh, and we're glad to have you here, Professor Pape, to talk about the Substack. Hope everybody goes over and subscribes to the Escalation Trap.
Yeah, I think that people need to be aware, just before we leave here, that so yesterday I published a trajectory on the Substack here, and this was, I said, the ceasefire is about to end in just a few hours. Don't be surprised if you see the next stage would be demonstration attacks. And what you're seeing, and I don't think Iran could have read it and responded in time, it's just not possible, but what you're seeing is the validation of this. When Iran took those ships, and then the other thing you didn't mention is they had a parade where they brought in the missiles. I don't know if your listeners can see, or your viewers can see the missiles. This is just like with North Korea. This is just like with Russia, just like with China. And what they're doing with those missiles is they're saying, you mess with us, we're going to go beyond demonstration. And those missiles have American city names on them. Now, they can't really reach American cities, so I don't want America to freak out over this. But what they are doing is they're moving up a ladder of escalation that other countries have done. This is just, if you studied this for 30 years, demonstration, there's whole articles on this, you would see they're moving up a standard rung themselves. And the fact that they're having those missiles out there, that tells me that this is not going to be over anytime soon. The idea that they're simply now going to kowtow here and just surrender that power, I don't think so. They're feeling their oats here, and they're sending a direct signal. Maybe most Americans don't understand it, but those people in the White House get it, which is America, you're next. You keep targeting us in our homeland.
Yeah.
So maybe Joe Kent's not necessarily all bad.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think he's trying to speak Trump's language and be persuasive.
Well, he's trying to speak Trump's language, but Trump wants a clear victory. He wants the fig leaf of victory. And the reason is because that way he can recover.
Bro, and he needs something to give the MAGA that MAGA can rub in our face and be like, ha ha, you guys are being panicans. Look at all the wins. But he can't really do that right now. I mean, bro, if you let MAGA run off with this, they're going to look like idiots. They're going to look at us and be like, ha ha, Trump walked away and he destroyed their Navy. Yeah, but they control the Strait of Hormuz now. Now they're making money. The regime is still in place. The nuclear capability is, well, still within their hands. I mean, where's the win? You kind of look crazy trying to make it seem like a win.
His presidency. I don't think Iran is going to be, if Iran was going to give him the fig leaf of victory, they would have met with J.D. Vance. And I think that's a clear sign that they understand what Trump wants. And he's begging them for this. And I think that this is just not, I don't think they're going to play that game, because this is signaling to me, intel to me, that they're revealing their preference. They would rather wreck his presidency than give the fig leaf of cover for him to declare victory. That's why he can't declare victory now. What's he going to say? They took a ship and now we won. I mean, this is just not, they're making it impossible for Trump to declare victory and walk away. He can still walk away. He just can't walk away with a victory.
He can declare it.
He can try it, but they're going to say.
He can declare it. And I'm be real with you, there's going to be guys in MAGA that's going to be like, oh yeah, Trump won, and they'll carry that to their grave. So he could do it. He could spin it good enough. And, people in his base is going to hold strong to that.
They're going to do the next thing and say, sure, they're going to have the big image. Trump declare victory, we take ship. Trump declare victory, we topple UAE.
Yes.
That's what they want. That's what they're doing. And I'm just saying, this is power politics of the first order. Trump's playing domestic politics, okay? Iran is playing power politics, and you can see that when our CIA goes in to topple governments, as we have done, including in Iran, okay? We're playing hardball for real. We may paper it over with we're Mr. Trump said we're Mr. Nice. No, we're rarely Mr. Nice Guy. When we topple governments here, we're pretending to have the fig leaf of this. It took us 15 years to topple the Syrian government. So over time, you might be able to topple a government, like 15 years, you see. So you keep at it for 15 solid years, you might be able to topple the Syrian government. But in that 15 years versus Iran, you can see Iran has a lot of cards to play in that period of time.
Professor Pape, thank you so much for being so generous with your time once again.
All right, now let's get into more updates on what's been going on here, because let's see here. We got something that just came in here from Fox News. New details: Iran fires on ship with no warning. Not one warning. This came out like 24 minutes ago.
A lot happening this hour. We begin with this alert. President Trump giving the radical Islamic Iran just 3 to 5 more days to come to the table. The White House has confirmed to Fox News the ceasefire extension is limited, not indefinite. Already, we are seeing the extra time being used by Iran.